Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One more query is there, sir.
Yeah, please.
Is it audible? Actually, you are telling a base signature is there for the comparison of a fault signature. So whether is it good for taking whether cable is healthy, that time whether we have to take a healthy signature for future comparison.
So, see, whenever you use it, yes, you healthy signature will come because you need to know the length of the cable. So what you do is you if it's a high resistance fault, you send a pulse. The pulse will travel through till the end because when you find a fault, you have to disconnect the cable from both ends. So the complete length trace you will get. You will always get a complete trace, the signature of a complete length, which would be a kind of a healthy graph signature, because you are sending a very little low voltage pulse into a high resistance fault. So it will give you a graph and it will show you the complete length of the cable. Every time, yes, of course, you have to take the signature of the healthy signature, yes, so that you can superimpose the fault graph over it to be able to particularly and clearly see.
That is fine. You can locate the fault by the wave correctors. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, let's come back to this cable tracing, route tracing. So this is how the route tracing is done. That power cable, a route tracer has different modes of tracing cable. One is a power mode, second is a radio mode, and third is a generator mode. Uh, Power mode, you switch it over to power mode. It generates a frequency of 50 hertz and sends it under the ground and would catch anything which has a resonating same frequency, which is the power cable. So it will detect only the live power cable in case of power mode. If you use the power mode in fault locator, fault route trace, cable route tracer. Uh, Then there are various modes of, you have one end of it available and you clamp that one end to the cable, and you can keep on tracing the route of that cable for maybe 2-3 kilometers. It would keep on indicating to you where that particular cable is. Now in this case, even if the cables are in a bunch, you will be able to identify because the receiver would continue to give you the leakage current also. So if there are adjoining cables which would have some effect on this effect of these signal generated through signal generator sent into the cable, you will still be able to identify the particular cable. So, that is how a man walks across over the ground, and the indication on the this receiver which is in his hand uh, gives you, there is an audio indication also, and there is a video indication also when it reaches over the cable. The video indication is this signal strength. When this signal strength is maximum, then you are over the cable. When the signal strength reduces, then you are not on the cable. You are either away from the cable or you have already crossed the cable. So with this, you are able to pinpoint the cable. This is the example I was trying to tell you, that you are walking over the ground trying to locate a cable. So if there is no cable, you will get something like this. And once you have approached a cable, you would see the signal strength going up. And when you are over the cable, you will see complete signal strength and a loud audio that this is where the cable is. this is the receiver which you carry, you pick up and carry along with you. It has these different modes of these knobs. You can change to various modes and knobs. And these are some technical features. Mr. Devki Nandan would be glad to explain these to you. So I thought because this is the signal generator which sends the signal into the underground cable, because I thought that you might need this in addition to your fault locator. You might even need these for other purposes. The road is widened, a road is made, then you don't know where that manhole is. Then these are manhole locators which locate the cover of the manhole, uh, which has some metallic substance in it. So you can locate these manholes also. So this is broadly it. I'll take one more minute if you will bear with me. I want to tell you, share with you something which I think you will find very interesting, particularly PED people. They'll find that very, very interesting. Now we are talking of these RFID cable markers. These RFID cable markers, if there is any new cable being laid, they can be uh, installed along with those cables, and in case of the fault location, whenever there is a joint failure and you have to do the jointing, at that point of time also you can install these markers, and you can keep a permanent record of all joints or your cable route in your office, because these are RFID markers, and they are very, very useful for discoms as well as other utility organizations in the state, who could be a sewer line, could be a water line, or could be any underground utility. So we'll very briefly, in less than 1.5 minutes, we'll cover this and then we'll finish off. These are smart markers, and with every marker having its own RFID, which means that each marker has its own identity, and you can find that which identity marker has been installed where, sitting in your office. So various people use these markers that for various utilities, power cables most definitely, and fiber optic cables, water pipelines. These are they use by installing these along with the markers. Uh, uh, any change in layout over ground does not make any difference, because these markers are there, and they would always continue to tell you where your cables are, because they are laid along with the cables, and it does not make any difference if the topography changes or road widens or whatever happens. Cable route you will always know, always know. So it becomes a kind of an essential thing for your maintenance, O&M purposes. And these incidentally have a life of 40 years. For example, you will see that there are two markers here and there's one marker here. So these have been integrated with GIS mapping, and they tell you that on this road, this is where these markers are. Now they could denote anything. If you have put them along with your power cables, then they'll tell you this is where your power cable is going. If you have used it for any other purpose, it will tell you that this is where your other purpose could be the water line, could be the sewer line, could be the telecom fiber line or something.
Sir, is it usable for 22 kV cable also, sir?
Oh, any cable, 220 cable, 220.
Low voltage, which
it has got nothing to do with the voltage. See, these are they don't even have any batteries. What they are just tuned circuits which come alive when the same frequency is brought near them. Like for example, these power cables have two types of frequencies. One is 169.8 hertz and one is 138 hertz. So when you bring a receiver which has a same frequency, then only they come alive. They have got nothing to do with the power rating or anything. They just resonate, they shake hands when the receiver is brought to them. Otherwise, they are just dead and lying there. And more importantly, see, these are the markers. These are simple disc markers. You put it, and this is the receiver. When you put it on the ground, you take this receiver over it. This receiver will capture its 10-digit RFID number, which is a unique number, and will store that number inside itself. It has a facility of storing 8,000 markers. So, and when you come down to your office and you download the data, it will tell you where that marker was buried. Because it not only picks up the marker number, it also picks up the coordinates at where this was put. Those coordinates also get saved into this. So once you bring the receiver over it, you are sending that particular frequency, and then these markers come alive and they send this frequency back, and then this is where your marker is. If later on subsequently you wish to know where your cable was, then this receiver of yours can even navigate you to these markers. It is like your phone, map navigation, that you switch it on, feed that number, it will tell you turn right, turn left, and your destination is, let's say, 2 kilometers away, and it will automatically navigate you to this particular marker. There are some industry internationally classification of the markers. That gas pipeline, they use this color of markers. Telecom, they use this color of markers. And energy and power cable, they use this color of marker. हाँ बोलो. Okay. I think the screen has got stuck, and let me just correct it.
सर इसको ना दोबारा शेयर करिए, दोबारा शेयर करिए सर। ये शेयर
कर रहा हूँ। आप बता देते तो मैं उसी टाइम इसको करेक्ट कर लेता।
नहीं, हमें पता, मेरे तो अभी वो लगा है ना कि
अच्छा, न्यू शेयर में कर लेता हूँ आपको। तो मैं मार्कर से ही अभी शुरू करता हूँ। We were talking of markers, so
सर ऑल्सो फुल स्क्रीन कर लेंगे तो सर बहुत अच्छा व्यू हो जाएगा।
हाँ, मैं करता हूँ। जस्ट ए मिनट। आपको ये अब दिख गया मार्कर का?
हाँ सर, ये दिख गया। शुरू से करना सर, इसको फुल स्क्रीन कर लीजिए सर, ये बहुत छोटा दिख रहा है।
एक मिनट, कर रहा हूँ।
ये ऑलरेडी आपने शेयर
मैं ये बंद करता हूँ इसको।
यहाँ पे उसका आगे मिला प्लस का यहाँ पे निशान बिल्कुल स्क्रीन
इसको वैसे जो बड़ा करने के लिए होता ना
प्लस का कंट्रोल क्या
कहाँ पे
यहाँ पे इसको ऐसे
अभी इट्स ओके हेलो अभी ठीक है
सर वो आधा कटा हुआ दिख रहा है। ये जो स्क्रीन है ना आपकी लैपटॉप की, इसको मैक्सिमाइज कर दीजिए ना सर। ये मिनिमाइज हो रखी है लैपटॉप की स्क्रीन जो है।
सर मैक्सिमाइज है ऑलरेडी मिनिमाइज नहीं है ये
मैम जहाँ ये मैम प्रेजेंटेशन में जहाँ ये जूम का ऑप्शन आ रहा है ना नीचे 98% लिखा है, उसके जस्ट पहले एक ये देखिए सिंबल बना हुआ है, प्लीज़ क्लिक दिस इन द डाउन साइड, राइट हैंड साइड डाउन साइड, दिस, हाँ यस, बिसाइड ऑफ दैट, नो 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 सर, ये बाजू वाला, यस, नाउ इट इज़ ओके।
Now it is okay? Okay. So as I was talking about these markers, these are very essential markers. These are electronic markers and RFID markers, each marker having its own individual number. And these markers can be installed along with cables or can be installed when uh, fault location is done in terms of jointing or any other fault. At that fault point, these markers can be put because it also has a feature of adding attributes to a particular marker. Let's say if there was a joint failure and you found a fault, and at that time you have put this marker, you can write about that this was the joint, this was replaced on this particular date, this was provided by this contractor, so that if that jointing kit is under warranty, you can even claim that. So there are various usage of this RFID marker for maintenance purposes. Uh, Now this is one example of this is an integrated system. That there are two markers which were installed here and third marker was installed here in a straight line. So you can integrate it with your GIS system also. Now these markers are of a particular frequency and they are passive markers. They don't have any battery or anything or any power source. So they can be used with any cable of any rating. They are just tuned circuits and with fixed frequency. And whenever a transceiver is of the same frequency is taken over it, then only they become alive and give their indication. Now these are the markers and this is a marker locator. So when you install a marker, you take this marker locator over it. This marker locator will read the RFID number of this marker. It will read the coordinates where this marker is put and save all this in itself in this receiver only. Operating principle, as I said, they are just tuned circuits with no battery. This signal is sent into the ground. This marker receiver would be also of the same frequency. It can be set to the same frequency, so it will send the frequency into the ground, and it will come back. The locator will identify the marker, and the marker will resonate the same frequency back to the locator. this is where I think we stopped. And these are internationally standard norms that for power cable you need to use the red color markers with these particular frequencies. These standards have been made so that people are aware that for gas pipeline, you find a yellow colored marker, there would be a different frequency, and you know this is for a gas pipeline. But for power cables and similarly for telecom cables, there is a different color and different frequency. And for sewerage line, there would be a different color, a different frequency. For water pipeline, there would be a different frequency and different color. So, as I mentioned, they have this GIS functionality. You can combine it with your GIS system. So, this is what a marker is. This is a passive marker. When we say passive marker, it means that it has no powers and it has an RFID chip inside it. And then there is it makes it an RFID marker. The passive marker plus RFID chip makes it an RFID marker. So you put it in and you are able to know your route of that utility or cable for all times to come, even if there is change in topography. You can even superimpose these onto the Google map and keep as your own private library or share it with your people that this is where your utilities are. I'll give you an example. This is a practical example of these markers were laid somewhere, and these are the markers they were laid, and then they were superimposed on Google Map. So you know, sitting in your office, this is what your cable network is, and if there is some fault somewhere, in case I'm just trying to connect it with the fault, you know that near this marker there would be a fault, and as I was mentioning, you feed in this particular marker number, and it will navigate you to this place. This receiver will navigate you to this place on its own automatically. This is how it generates a report. It gives you the coordinates, lat long coordinates, and it gives you the 10-digit uh, marker number and date of installation also. Here it gives you 10-digit its individual number, and these are GPS lat long, and this is the date of installation. Then in Excel form, it gives you this. All this data can be then uploaded onto the cloud and can be shared with on your mobile with the help of a mobile app which comes with it. You download that mobile app, then all this data is stored in the cloud, and whoever has this mobile app, all your people can access all this data in terms of where is the route, what number of marker is where, and things like that. This is a mobile app view that these are the marker numbers and these are the coordinates, and this it will indicate this is where the markers you're physically able to see the markers. As I mentioned, it can navigate you to the marker on its own. Just switch it on, select a particular marker number, and this marker locator will navigate and take you to that particular marker. Even if it, let's say, 10, 20, 50 kilometers away. Same like your, on your phone, that Google Map system.
हेलो
हम्म
कहाँ है सर?
बाहर ही हूँ.
अच्छा ठीक सर यार.
Whatever you guys have mentioned, that this was used in Bescom, Bangalore electricity energy cable, and it was used with 400 square power cable, high voltage cable, and whatever else you wish to write, you can write along with this. And this is where they were installed in this particular can view the route and you can reach the exact location in whichever way you wish
अभी
to
नहीं
see
आया
it.
है पैसा, आएगा तो फोन कर
And
दिया
automatic GIS generation, that the database you have on which you have uploaded onto the cloud, you can download onto your mobile,
बुला लेंगे
and the mobile phone would also have all the information. So all the field people would have the same data as you have centrally maintained, and they would know at all times where the cables are, and even if the topography has changed, and in case of
उसको
fault
बात करने बोलो
location,
ना
they
यार, तुम
would
क्यों
know
अपना
that there is a
एंटरटेन
fault
करते हो उसको?
between this particular marker and that particular marker. They are able to reach there quickly. You navigate the marker, it
क्यों
will tell
एंटरटेन
you
कर रहे हो?
like our phone, a mobile phone
फंस
does.
जाओगे फोड़ में, बता रहा हूँ तुमको, मैं हाथ नहीं लगाऊंगा और मैं
Most
क्लियर
of
बोल
the
रहा हूँ.
discoms are using these markers past many years, and even discoms are using which
नहीं,
in
क्यों एंटरटेन
far-flung
करते चले जा
areas,
रहे हो साला?
they even mark their transformers also for asset
जो लिस्ट
management
बनाई तो वो हो गई ना
and
कंप्लीट? दे दिया
location
ना उसने पैसा?
information
सबमिल हो गया?
purposes.
बता दिया उसको?
And then
बता दिया उसको?
they combine it with their GIS system also.
कब बताओगे उसको? बताया,
Then
खत्म करो.
other utilities also use
क्यों,
it,
मतलब
the
तू
water
एंटरटेन
line,
क्यों कर रहे हो
sewer
उनको?
line,
तुमने
or
पैसा लिया है क्या?
other
लिया है तुमने,
utilities
इसका मतलब तभी
also
तुम एंटरटेन कर रहे
use it
होगे
for
और क्या?
their own
तुम्हारे पास ही
purposes.
होगा पैसा.
So this was it, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Any
फिर क्यों
question or
निकाल रहे हो
anything?
समय? तो उनको बोलो ना, वो अपना समय निकालेगा. क्यों एंटरटेन करते चले जा रहे हो?
Hello?
हाँ यस सर.
Yeah, any question?
any query sir? No query sir.
Okay, thank you for your time. But do take some interest when our Mr. Devki Nandan will practically tell you or show you how to find fault from the system. Do take some interest, because whatever we have discussed, you will very quickly be able to relate that to when you practically see the demonstration.
Okay, sure sir.
थैंक यू वेरी मच चोपड़ा सर.
Thank you
Okay.
all. Thank you for your time. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you sir.
Praveen, please proceed for demo and other things.